review. And the first book I read for this week is Deadpool Volume 5, The Wedding of Deadpool. I don't know what I was thinking. I was kind of hoping that this was going to be good, but it was just okay. One of the amazing things about this is the cover and how many Marvel stars are on the cover. There was one scene I thought was really cool. It was like a tribute to the Beatles, Abbey Road, where it shows them all dressed up walking across the road. There are a number of things like that sometimes in Deadpool books, but I don't know why they called this volume The Wedding of Deadpool when it was only like 1 or 2 issues, and it was very short. Like I said, it was just okay. I did rate this one 3 out of 5 stars. It's worth checking out if you want to find out who Deadpool is married to and all that, but it's not like a pivotal moment that I'm going to say was, great. Up next we have Sin City Volume 3, I do believe this is, The Big Fat Kill. This is a story that took place in the first Sin City movie. I know that sounds weird because the last volume I just read was the second Sin City movie. But this one takes place in the first Sin City movie. If I remember right, there were different chapters in the Sin City movie, and this was one of the chapters. This takes place, after the events of the last volume I just read, which was Volume 2. And of course, Dwight's got a new look because he had plastic surgery because he was totally destroyed by this dude. And now he's trying to protect his girlfriend from this guy who's a real creep. And they go to Old Town, and of course, the girls at Old Town. So I won't say any more about it, but this was great. I did rate this 4 out of 5 stars. I usually don't like black and white books, but it's Frank Miller, so hey, it's really good. It's worth checking out. I am reading the volume following this, so I'll tell you about that. Okay, up next we have Sin City. I can't remember which volume this is. It might be 5. But it is That Yellow Bastard. This was another one that it was a short chapter in the Sin City film that got featured. Of course, it's the senator's son, Rourke, and he's a pedophile, and he catches Nancy. She's like a dancer in some club. This takes place in the past, of course, so it was kind of interesting to see this, and it was like a literal translation from the film. So having already seen the film, I kind of knew what was happening. So I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. It's worth checking out. If you're a fan of the Sin City film, you might want to check out these books. After that, I read Inde. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that 100% correctly. If you are Apache or know someone who's Apache, could you tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly? This is written by Ethan Hawke, who is, yes, it is the actor Ethan Hawke, the guy that was in Sinister, and he was in a couple of films from the 80s. This is about the Apache Wars, which I didn't know so much about the Apaches. I didn't realize that they had confrontations with the Mexicans, because that area used to be a part of Mexico. And this is about Cochise and Geronimo. Cochise is the leader of the Apaches. And I didn't know that there were a tribe of Apaches called the Tonto Apaches. I didn't know that. At first I thought that it was they were being kind of giving them this name because they didn't like them or something like that. But then, I realized, well, at the time this was written, or, I mean, not at the time it was written, at the time this history happened, there wasn't a Lone Ranger. So, I had to do a little bit of research to figure out that that's who they were referring to, were the Tonto Apaches. So, it was really interesting to see just the kind of shit the Apaches had to go through. They're not only being invaded originally by the Mexicans, and then they were being invaded by the United States, so it was just really kind of shitty. But that's history. And I remember one part where there was one of the generals was saying that people were not going to look back on this as a favorable event, which is kind of true, because it's really kind of shitty the way, the United States treated the Native Americans. So this is a decent read. I did rate this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's worth checking out, especially if you like history. Okay, up next we have Image Comic The Beauty. It's called the Beauty because in this world there is an STD called the Beauty, and when people contract it, they become beautiful. They basically, they have thinning hair, they regrow hair. If they're fat, they slim down. Stuff like that. So there is beauties dying all over the place, and there's the Beauty Task Force who are trying to figure out why are these beauties dying. Are they anti-beauty terrorists, or is there some other reason? I gotta be careful kind of what I share with you guys because this is not safe. This is a mature title and it is not for children. So I kind of have to be careful what I share with you guys. But I found this highly enjoyable, although it did read like a standalone. It kind of ended and it was almost like that was it, like that's the whole series. So I don't know if there are any other issues after this. If there are, I'd love to see what's going on because this kind of, like I said, it ended like that was the it. I did rate this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's really good. I know it's been hyped a lot on BookTube, but it's worth checking out. Next we have Deadpool and Cable, Volume 1, Split Second. And when Marvel decides to redo series that they had done before, this is one I'm all for. I love Cable, I love Deadpool. This had a great start, and of course, you know if Deadpool's involved, there's going to be shenanigans. If Cable's involved, you know there's going to be time travel and tech. And it had a really, really fun and great start, but then it just kind of got tiring. They're out to try to protect this guy who invented this harness that allows people to travel through time. And of course, you know, mishaps happen. There's an assassination attempt, and these guys are trying to thwart that. So I really thought this was okay. I gave it a 3 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads. But that doesn't mean that I'm discouraged from reading this as a series. If they come out with more books, I'm definitely going to read them because, like I said, I love these two heroes. And I can't wait for the Deadpool sequel to come out. Up next we have Spider-Gwen Volume 1, Greater Power. I know that there is a Volume 0, but for some reason Volume 1 came before Volume 0. So I'm starting off with this. I'm only familiar with Spider-Gwen from the Spider-Verse storyline where they kind of briefly introduced her, and you didn't really get a chance to explore the character and find out what they're really like. So that's why I wanted to check out her own series, and I was kind of annoyed with the beginning of this book for some reason. Like, it seems like, you know, Marvel is trying to make all their characters more female-centric, and I don't know. Honestly, I just don't, you know, the whole cutesy and trying to make everything feminine. I thought this was okay. I did like seeing this alternate world where, you know, the people, like iconic characters we know, like Frank Castle and Matt Murdock. Like, Matt Murdock is a kingpin in himself, and Frank Castle is just a cop, and it's just kind of weird. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was okay. I will check out Volume 0, and I might read some other issues of this series. But like I said, it was just okay. I mean, I really don't know where Marvel's going with all these changes they're doing to their books. You know, it's kind of iffy. And this is where I'm going to end my week in review with Mighty Thor Volume 1, Thunder in Her Veins. I think it's kind of interesting how they use Dr. Foster as a cancer patient and her, you know, complications involving being Thor and how that's affecting her life and all that. So, I have to admit, yeah, I liked Lady Thor when they did that first, debut. It was kind of cool how they were doing the same thing they did with the Red Hulk. They were trying to have the whole mystery to figure out who she is. I found that to be interesting. I do have to admit that this was very mediocre to start. It involved mostly the whole war between the elves and the different realms, and the whole little back thing with the Roxxon Corporation. So I thought this had a very mediocre start, but it did get better. The last third of this was really, really good, and it was the trial of Freya and Asgard. So I found that to be the best part of this book, and I ended up rating this 4 out of 5 stars. Like I said, the last third of this book kind of really salvaged it for me. It's worth checking out. I was thinking before I read this that I haven't really read too many of the new Marvel books that are 4 or 5 stars or better. You know, I just think they've been kind of mediocre lately, and I was thinking, you know, I don't know. Who's to say what Marvel's going to become since Disney has taken over? Who's to say if it's going to radically change all the heroes? Like, I have to admit, I really hate how Marvel has decided to make their shows and their movies and their books all one universe. I really think that's kind of shitty because, you know, they're not really appealing to the comic book fans. They're more appealing to the casual viewer. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for watching. If you read any of these, let me know what you thought of them, or if you have any intentions on reading them, let me know that down below. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button and share it with your friends. Thank you. Bye.